All right, good morning, everyone. So for our last talk of the morning, we have Julie Lavoie, who will be giving a talk about analyzing rap lyrics. So please give a hand for Julie.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julie Lavoie. I'm going to, as our nice announcer said, I'm going to talk about analyzing rap lyrics using Python. I'm a little bit sick, so I'm probably not going to speak super loud, so please let me know if you're having a hard time hearing. Just a heads up, this talk has swear words, like a lot of swear words, and some depictions of violence. Most of them are censored, some of them are not. I won't be offended if you feel the need to leave right now. So I really love hip-hop. Last summer, I lived in New York City to attend Hacker School, New York, which is the home of hip-hop and rap. I love that kind of music because it has really great rhythm, it's really good for dancing. But as a woman, I have issues with a lot of the lyrics. And here are some examples of, I'm not going to read it out loud, but I warned you guys. Here are some lyrics from the song Golzi by A$AP Rocky. And so I was curious, can we quantifiably measure sexism in lyrics? This is obviously kind of a complex and subtle question, so as a kind of first approximation, what I started looking at was, well, which rapper uses the B word the most? And so no one goes through the whole talk being confused by B word. I'm going to say it once and not again. I mean the word bitch, essentially. And so to talk about this, well, we need some rap lyrics, and where can we get them? There's a website called rapgenius, and it's like a Wikipedia for rap, and it has lyrics for most songs that you can imagine. And you can go and annotate them for meaning. So for example, if you didn't know what those lyrics meant, you could go look it up on rapgenius. There's no API, so we need to scrape. So the data that I started with was I got 32 artists from 50 to 150 songs each. I got a mix of East Coast, West Coast, Dirty South rap. I got male, female, black, and white rappers for a total of 2,600 or so songs. Help. This is from my friend Dave, who's like, hey, I'm super white. What is this whole East Coast, West Coast, Dirty South rap that you're talking about? So here's a semi-gratuitous 2-minute history of rap. It's not completely gratuitous because like different styles of rap evolve from different contexts. It does change like what people talk about in the style of the lyrics. So it does affect like what we're going to do. And so rap started on the East Coast. New York is the birthplace of rap, the birthplace of hip-hop. And what you really need to know about East Coast rap is that what's really important to it is verbal cleverness and a sense of virtuosity. Examples of artists that you might have heard of are Jay-Z, Biggie Small, Missy Elliott, A$AP Rocky, Wu-Tang Clan. I'm going to play you a quick sample just so you get an idea what I'm talking about. This is where I'm not sure if this is going to work. Sorry about that. Okay, this is hopefully where it's not super loud. Oh, the audio's not playing? No audio? What? Okay, I'll start it over.
I'm from where the beef is inevitable, summertime's unforgettable. Boosters in abundance, buy half-price sweater new. Your word was everything, so everything you said you do, you did it. Couldn't talk about it if you ain't living. I'm from where niggas pull your card and argue all day about who's the best MCs. Biggie, Jay-Z, and Nas, where the drug czars evolve and thugs are at odds at each other's throats for the love of foreign cars.
And so what you can notice is the beat is quite repetitive. It's pretty much just one sample loop over and over in the background, and the lyrics are clearly the focus of the song. So rap was born on the East Coast, but then it spread to the West Coast, to LA. In the beginning, there was a lot of jealousy, basically because East Coast rappers refused to recognize that West Coast rappers could be any good. So there was a lot of like rap feuds and a lot of jealousy. There were a lot of like shootings between the coasts, which you might have heard of. And what you need to know about West Coast rap is that it was the birthplace of gangster rap. That's a really significant current to come out of there. Gangster rap came out of the situation where in the 80s in the United States, crack hit the inner city really hard. It generated like an incredible amount of violence in terms of people committing crimes to be able to afford the drug, in terms of gangs fighting to control who had the right to sell it, and in terms of the police response being brutal to the point of being militarized. I saw quickly this little video where the police had tanks, so if they thought your house was like a crack house, they wouldn't just like knock on the door and arrest you, they would like ram into your house with a giant tank. So of course people were upset, right? And so gangster rap came out of the sense of like, well, it's great we have this music that's about dancing around and like being happy and partying, but our lives are terrible. Like, we're forced to sell crack to survive. The police is totally on our case really unfairly. There's so much violence and desperation, and this is what we want to talk about. And so this is kind of the broad themes of what gangster rap is. And I'm going to play you a sample called Straight Out of Compton by NWA, which you quite possibly have heard before. Sorry for the little weird audio situation. Let's see.
Me, you can go toe-to-toe, no mate. I'm knocking niggas out the box daily. Yo, weekly, monthly, and yearly. Until them dumb motherfuckers see clearly that I'm down with the capital CPT. Well, you can't fuck with me. So when I'm in your neighborhood, you better duck. Cause Ice Cube is crazy as fuck. As I leave, believe I'm starving. But when I come back, boy, I'm coming straight out of Compton.
So that's Straight Out of Compton. So what you can notice is definitely like a much more aggressive feel than the other song from before. The lyrics are a little bit hard to make out, but they're definitely like very aggressive. Examples of artists, so not all West Coast rap is gangster rap, but like examples of artists like Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, NWA that we just heard, Tyga, Kendrick Lamar. And finally, the most recent style is kind of, it's called Dirty South, and I'm going to focus, there's substyles called crunk and trap. I'm going to focus on those because that's what you're the most likely to hear if you go to clubs. It's the as I said, it's the most recent style, and it's different from the other ones in the sense of the emphasis is really on the beat and on creating a sense of energy. The lyrics are basically secondary. Often it's just kind of nonsense repeated over, like if you're familiar with Lil Jon, he's very like archetypal of this style. And it's very well suited. It has become very popular in clubs because, I mean, in a club you don't want to sit there analyzing complex poetry, you just want to kind of, you know, get hyped up with your friends. And so if you go to a club today that's playing hip-hop, most likely this is what you're going to hear. And so examples of artists are like Lil Jon, Lil Wayne, 3 6 Mafia, T.I., 2 Chainz, Outkast. And here's an example of a song called Bussin' Jugs by Gucci Mane. Whoops.
My mama say the neighbors think I'm selling drugs. I told my mama chillin', then gave her a dub. I turned the stove on, then I gave mama a hug. Now when these niggas re-up, they re-up with us. You just another damn Jew. Bitch don't even know it, she done met the damn plug. Chew, so good. Bitch don't even know it, she can lead the damn hood.
So again, I kind of warned you about the swearing. So end of that end of that parenthesis. There is actual coding in this talk, don't worry. So what we need to do now is get some lyrics, and we're going to do this in basically 4 parts, right? So first we need to download some HTML files, then we need to extract lyrics from the HTML, count what we're interested in, and then we're going to do some more stats as well. And so scraping is not like having a nice clean API where you can say, okay, you know, I look up in the doc, here's the function call I need, I do it, I get the data. It's very trial and error, and it's a very messy problem. Every time it's basically a new problem, and you have to look at the structure of what you're trying to scrape and to try to understand it first. So if we look at rapgenius, what we see is for each artist, there's an index page that looks like this with a list of songs. So here's A$AP Rocky, and you see on the left is pretty much like that's a list of all of his songs. And then, so if we click on one song, the song Goldie that we were looking at earlier, that was ever so charming, here are the lyrics. So we see there's a header, there's a sidebar, there's a widget, and there's only a small part from that page that we really care about. If we do a view source, we get basically 1,500 lines of HTML and CSS and JavaScript and so on. And of these 1,500 lines, we care about 40. So at first, this seemed really straightforward, where I was like, okay, I'll just use beautiful soup, and I'll write a loop, and I'll use URL-lib, which I've been told, like, okay, no one cool does that anymore, like use request, and get all the files. And that seems, you know, that seems pretty straightforward, except nope. So the first problem that happens is that I only get 20 files for each artist. And that seems like a problem because, for example, Jay-Z probably has a lot more than 20 songs, so something is going wrong. And the problem is, thanks. My favorite Twitter is 99 problems and Git is all of them. That's like the story of my life. So if we look at the real page on rapgenius, what we find the problem is auto-scroll. And so how auto-scroll works, if you haven't encountered it, is basically it loads up the first 20 songs, and then when you scroll to the bottom of the page, it's like, okay, I need 20 more songs, and then it kind of goes like this. This is to avoid that Jay-Z probably has like 300 songs, and then maybe you just care about the first 3, and then you have a huge page load for nothing, right? But in our case, we do want 300 songs, so how do we kind of defeat this? So what we can do is we can load up like Firebug or Chrome DevTools, and scroll down to the bottom of the page, trigger the event, and then see where is it making an AJAX request. And so when we do that, I guess the picture you see at the bottom, that's Firebugs. So you can see it's like calling a URL. And we get the worst URL ever. It's like so disgusting. So, okay, this doesn't seem too bad at first, because you're like, well, here in blue it has a pagination parameter equals true. So we can say, well, all right, pagination equals false. Give me all the songs. But that doesn't work either. So it seems to ignore this. And so, okay, then it's like, well, there's a parameter called page. So in theory, I guess you could break the URL into like 3 parts. The first part, the page, and just iterate over that in a loop, and the second part, the third part, and then just like call this successively and get all the pages one after the other. Except that's kind of a mess, because we also have this for artist page ID here going on. So now for each artist, we have to somehow get this. And now it's not nice, clean DOM parsing. It's like some giant regular expression monster, gross thing. And so then it's good to take a step back and think, was my goal to write the best scraper of all time, or was it just to get a bunch of rap lyrics? And this, I wish like I could just tattoo this on the hand of like every programmer I know, which is, when is it important for something to be perfect versus something to be done? And in our case, it's like, thanks. Thank you. And in my case, it's like, well, you know, this is not a nuclear submarine. It's like downloading rap lyrics. So I'm like, meh, Firefox plugin. So there's a plugin called Download Them All. And so what I did is I just like went to the page for A$AP Rocky, and I click like scroll, download them all, and then I got all the songs. And I did this for 32 times, and it was incredibly boring, but then I was done. And so, okay, so where we are now we've like used Download Them All. And so for each artist, we have a directory with a bunch of HTML files that represent like 1 per song for each artist. And so what we need to do is take this HTML and for each song and turn it into lyrics, right? So we have, you know, we're partway through a problem, so we have HTML, now we need lyrics. And so the tools we can use, initially I used Beautiful Soup, which is a really like a nice, straightforward screen scraper written in Python and HTML parser. And later I used Pattern, which is also an HTML parser, but it has a lot of natural language processing capabilities. I think it's pretty new. I haven't heard too many people that have used it before. And yeah, Beautiful Soup is fantastic. I just started using Pattern more just because then I started doing more NLP, and it was just simpler to use the same tool for everything. And so looking again at the structure of what we have, what we want to do is turn HTML, get these things out of a div. And looking very quickly, basically, lucky for us, all the lyrics are just in this big div called lyrics, and so we just need to do that. And using Pattern, this is really straightforward. This is like 6 lines of pattern, including 2 lines for opening the file and printing it. And so you open the file, you read the file. OK, that could have been 1 line. You domify the whole situation. Then you say, give me that div with a class of lyrics. Turn it into plain text, which means takes out a bunch of new lines and like annoying, like niggly details, and then print. And there are the first 3 lines of Goldie, ever so charming, A$AP Rocky. And there we go. So the last thing we need to do is we need to count the number of Bs. And so pretty much for each artist, like count how many are in each file, total them up. And then what we've done is we average it over the number of songs to make up for the fact that, say, Jay-Z has a lot of songs, but like Queen Latifah has like a small number of songs. And this is not even a library I mean, it's just the regular expression library where you just basically pretty much counting matches, and there's 1 line of Python. So results. Rappers are using the B word on average twice per song, which is good or bad, I'm not sure. And so the rappers that were the best, you had like Jay-Z, Missy Elliott, Wu-Tang Clan, Drake, Outkast, Kanye, Queen Latifah, Dead Prez. I was surprised by Kanye and Jay-Z because I don't think of them as very like positive towards women. The women was really interesting. I was happy to see that the women did pretty well, and then the socially conscious rappers, I was happy to see their politics were kind of in line with their usage of the word. From 1 to 3 words per song, there was T.I., Biggie Small, 50 Cent, Eminem, Kendrick Lamar. I was really surprised by Biggie and Eminem, and I'll talk about them more in a second. And three or more. There was Lil Kim, Foxy Brown, NWA, A$AP Rocky, Snoop Dogg. And I was really surprised because basically Lil Kim and Foxy Brown are female rappers, if you don't know them. And they were like amongst the worst. And I'm like, that's kind of interesting. And then So Bad. So Lil Jon is so bad, he merited his own category with 9.7 times per song, at which point I'm like, it's time to learn more words, Lil Jon. And so let's think back to our original question, which is this a good metric for sexism, right? And if we think about, there's artists like Biggie Small and Eminem that have very violent lyrics towards women that talk about like killing them, assaulting them, mugging them, murdering, I said that already, that score relatively low. So Eminem is like twice per song and Biggie Small 3 times per song. So, oh, okay, that's not good. Help. Okay. And so if we look at examples of lyrics by Lil Jon and Biggie Small, I'm not going to say this out loud, and I did warn you that there would be some violence. Like, here are examples of lyrics by each one. And the first thing that you can notice is Lil Jon, I needed to bleep out a whole bunch of words, but Biggie Small, arguably what he's saying, it's much worse, but, you know, there's no swear words in it. And so let's think about this. So Biggie Small and Eminem, they're recognized amongst the greatest rappers of all time. Biggie Small in particular is known as probably the greatest storyteller in all of rap, that he paints like very vivid pictures with his words. And both of them are known for their lyrical talent, they're very clever. And I have more songs, I brought you examples. And so here's an example of a song called Party and Bullshit by Biggie Small.
Niggas wanna front, who got your back? Niggas wanna flex, who got the gap? It ain't hard to tell, I'm the East Coast overdoser. Nigga, you're scared, you're supposed to. Nigga, I toast you. Put fear in your heart. Fuck up the party before it even starts. Is he drunk off a Henny and skunk? Or some brand Nubian shit beating down punk? That's that.
And so, okay, and here I'll show you the Lil Jon song, right? And here's to compare a song by Lil Jon.
Ladies and gentlemen, hey, 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 I don't know about you, what? But I came to party tonight, yeah! If you with me, what? Put your hands up right now! Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up! Hey! Drinks up high! Every time I hit the bar, shots, 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 shots!
And so you can definitely see, like, even if I told you nothing, that they're definitely from different styles, and there's a little bit of the whole, you can see a little, like Biggie is very famously from the East Coast and Lil Jon is very famously from the South, so you can see, I think in those samples, pretty clearly the different styles that they're coming from as well. And so it seems to be that someone like Biggie Small, or I hate Eminem, so I refuse to play any of his songs, but they seem to have more vocabulary and just more skill to describe things that are worse. So it suggests that counting a word like the B word or some other derogatory term for women is not a sufficient metric to really evaluate sexism in music. So it's like, help. Not sure what to do next. And so what I found when dealing with data is if you're not sure what to do next and you're like, well, okay, that didn't work out how I thought, a good thing to do is to play with data and look for useful patterns to see is there something in there that I can exploit. So one thing I thought of doing is, well, okay, I was really curious, what are the 20 most common words in rap? And so this is where I started really falling in love with pattern, this is basically 3 lines of pattern, which is basically compile all of your things into a list that I'm calling docs, like that's just a function I wrote, and basically do this like whole document thing to it. I'm excluding some words, which I'll talk about in a second, and then I'm basically just saying, give me the top 20 words with a frequency count. And there we have it. So the most 20 common words in 2,700 rap songs at about 1,500 lines each. Are basically the N-word, the N-word plural, more swearing, the F-word, the B-word, time, love, wanna, money, life, tell, baby, gotta, I'm not gonna say it, real, girl, hit, call, look, and the B-word plural. There's a problem with the plurals, which I'll talk about in a second. And so the list of words that I was taking out earlier, and as well this whole thing exclude rap words. There were issues that were interesting in parsing rap versus parsing other texts. Like I have friends that do research in these kinds of topics using like French literature and stuff like that, and I had issues that they hadn't. And so in language processing, stop words are words that are so common that we basically don't. 5 minutes left? Okay, I better hurry. Are words that are so common that we don't care about them. So it, the, than. And rap has a lot of slang, and so we need new stop words. So for example, I had to add ya, them, yo, her, come on, that. And so those words have to be parsed out because they appear so commonly. And then another thing is rappers often refer to themselves by nicknames that appear in the text. So Hove, if I looked at the top 20 words for Jay-Z, which is his nickname for himself, was a top 20 word. So you have to add those as well and parse those out. And in rap, it's also common to have guest rappers on a verse, or to have like many different rappers in the song. So for example, the Wu-Tang Clan, the top 20 was all the names of the members. And and also when there's guest rappers, they'll say the name of the person as they to attach the verse to the right person. And so one interesting thing that came out of that was Eminem. One thing I did is I counted like how many times are people using the N-word, and I was really surprised because Eminem is a white rapper that he was using it at all. And I was like, how's that non-zero? And I went in to look into the song, and it was because he had a guest rapper who was black that was using the word. And the other thing is stemming. Stemming is the kind of, I'm not sure if it's called algorithm, but it's basically the process by which you make apple count with apple. So we saw like, say, the B word and the B word plural. That should really be one word in terms of what does it mean to the text. But like right now, pattern isn't dealing with this because for example, I want hoe to count with hose, but it's thinking of garden hose, so it didn't really work. But but you can pass it a custom stemming function, which I have yet to write, but this is probably a thing I'm going to do. So pattern's really cool like that. And so what's even more interesting than the most common 20 is what makes one artist different from another. For example, are there only words that only Biggie Small says? And so what I did is then I added the 20 most common words to the excluded word list to see, well, what is Biggie saying that other rappers aren't saying? I'm going to go, you can look at the code later on the slides. I'll go quickly through it because we're running out of time. And so for Biggie, the top 20, there were a lot of really negative words. There was like mad, mofo, hose, the F word, die, hard, game, like a lot of kind of sad words. And then Eminem, there was the F word, little, boy, sick, bad, mean. So kind of basically a lot of sad words. And if we compare Tribe Called Quest, which are more bad and associated with kind of like African pride and like partying and kind of happy things, a lot of the words have to do with dancing, like move, rhymes, beat, people, lyrics. And you're like, well, if I had to live in a universe, I would sort of prefer the Tribe Called Quest universe than the Eminem universe. And another interesting thing was socially conscious rappers. The word people was at the top of all of the counts for all of them. So for Dead Prez, for Immortal Technique, and for Talib Kweli. Again, I'll put the slides up online. You can look at them a bit more. Whoa, sorry. And so I still have so many questions. So the next thing that I want to do is look at groupings of words and to see like little windows of 5 words, if there's a word for a woman and then a word for like a harmful word, which is kind of suggested would be a good approach by the prominence of those words and stuff like Eminem's lyrics or Biggie's lyrics. And then as well, what I'd like to look at is, does sexism correlate with the rise of gangster rap? Because they found, for example, that street harassment correlates very strongly with police harassment of minority men. So when they found that the police is like randomly stopping and frisking people and people are really upset, how they react to that as a way of getting a sense of power back is they go and like harass women like in their neighborhood. So it'd be interesting to see if sexism correlates with the rise of in lyrics correlates with the rise of gangster rap, or of course, or if does it correlate with the rise of club-oriented sort of like bling bling, make it rain kind of rap. Where, it's like, oh, I have my fancy car and I have my expensive alcohol and I have like my hot girls. So these are questions that I'm interested in continue to explore. If you're interested in that, there's probably going to be a data buff, so please come and check it out if you're interested. And thank you so much, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if we have time.
So I'm going to start by confessing a bias as an old white guy who has training and sings in roots-based music. I've always found rap to be execrable. And I want to thank you for a fascinating talk that opened my eyes to a number of aspects of it that I was unaware of. I'm a little disturbed by your characterization that they were forced to sell crack to survive, but okay, I'll let that one go. Beat poetry. Go back in history. You'll learn a lot more about rap by studying the history that evolved it. And not a question, but if you're looking for word grouping, the term you're looking for is n-gram.
Right, right.
And that there are libraries for that that will help you do that data analysis.
That's awesome. Thank you very much. And yeah, thank you for the comment as well about beat poetry. I had wished that there was a time to go into a longer history of rap, but I didn't want to talk about rap for half an hour at PyCon. But yeah, that's definitely like one of the things that really that rap really came from. And thank you for pointing that out.
Hi, I'd just like to thank you in some way. This talk is shaping up to be probably the best one of the day. I was wondering if it would be much of an imposition if I could go ahead and answer more than one question. Like number one, I was wondering if which rapper you like the best, and if you've tried running your analysis on rappers from the Midwest. And number two, if you've managed to conceive a way to analyze poetic meter. And finally, one more question, if I can. I was wondering if you've looked into automatic transcribing so that you can find a way to analyze and score live freestyling.
Oh wow, that's a lot of questions. Okay, I have to remember what all of them were. My little queue is like very short. I'm not really sure which one to answer. I guess maybe, is there one in particular you want me to answer right now and we can talk about the rest after?
No, well, okay. Have you tried running this on Midwest rappers like Idea or Christoph Crane?
Oh,
you know, the Rhyme Sayers crew, Brother Ali, those sort of people?
I didn't that much. I kind of focused on these guys, but once I started working on this project, I did get a lot of requests from friends saying, can you run, like, it was a friend that requested Tribe Called Quest. So if you want me to, like, run the stats on them, we can do it after if you want.
Okay, cool. Oh, that's it.
Cool, and we can talk about your other questions after. I'd be happy to answer them.
Hi there.
Hey.
So my name's Remy, and I'm a professor at Rochester Institute of Technology. And I just want to commend you for this is the talk that I was the most excited about.
Oh,
I really am interested in the overlap between these things. There's a library called, well, I guess what I want to say is, you might be able to analyze some of this stuff more by looking at synthesizing the lyrics as well, and like training and using some tools like Markov chains. There's a library called Markov that is powering a blog called King James Programming.
Okay.
That mashes up the Bible with programming books.
Okay.
That is very interesting. So I've got a fork of that mashes up Wu-Tang Clan lyrics with speeches by President Obama. That's a lot of fun. WuPotus.tumblr.com, just shameless plug.
Okay.
But secondly, I'm very interested in this type of research. I've done some like rhyme scheme analysis kind of stuff with NLTK, and I'd love to attend the data BOF and stuff. So my question really is there code somewhere that we can check out? How do we contribute? How do I get people involved in our program at RIT?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I guess I should. Some of the code, it's not on my GitHub yet, but that's my GitHub handle right there. I will warn you, the code is really kind of a mess, and I focused hardcore on preparing for the talk and wrote very like fast and dirty code. But you're definitely welcome to check it out. And yeah, for sure, definitely come to the data BOF once we'll probably put it in the open spaces downstairs. And yeah, you'd definitely be very welcome to come.
Thank you.
Hi, awesome talk. Less of a question and more of a statement. I have some experience with scraping websites, and there's a Python library called Scrapey. And also, if you really need, for like the infinite scroll issue, you might want to check out headless WebKit browsers like Phantom.js. They can help you handle that issue.
Cool, thank you. Scrapey was definitely amongst one of the things that I looked at. Essentially, I started out with Beautiful Soup. I read the doc for Scrapey. There was too much doc reading for me, and I was really lazy and impatient, so I just went straight up with Beautiful Soup because I read doc for 5 minutes and I got started. But I do understand that it is a very good tool as well and a good alternative. Cool. Thank you very much.
All right, let's give a hand for Julie.